This is an ancient story, 20 centuries, of love and uncertainty. And it's, in this telling, centers around the voice of angels. First of all, we have Mary, her babushka, Mary, and she is in her home when an angel appears to her and says, Mary, you are beloved by God, and you are going to have his baby, and you will name him Jesus. And Mary's like, a baby? She's a little frightened because this is not a good time to have a baby without being married. But the angel has told her, and she decides to trust. But she's alone. And then, in a dream, the angel goes to a good man, a carpenter, called Joseph, and says, Joseph, Mary is your beloved. You are to marry her and take good care of her. And with that, Joseph and Mary get married. We're going to use the angel again. But, of course, this is the time of counting everybody in the land, and they have to go to the hometown of the husband. So Joseph gets a donkey because Mary is very pregnant and takes Mary on a trip to his town of Bethlehem. Do we know what happens in Bethlehem? They're kind of frightened because she's so pregnant, she can barely move. She's just about to have a baby, and he goes everywhere looking for a place to stay. But there's no room, and they're poor, so they can't pay for very much. But a kind man comes out and says, you could stay in the barn with the animals. Well, one good thing about a barn, even though it's winter, is that the animals warm up the whole space. And so Mary goes into the barn with Joseph. And guess what happens here? Of course, the baby is born. And when the baby is born, we have angels singing. We have a star that appears. And we have the baby Jesus born. The baby Jesus doesn't cry. The baby Jesus is very curious and looks at the animals. Has anyone ever been around animals when there's a baby? They come up and they sniff very carefully. They love the new born. And so we have, I need the baby Jesus to be held. Would you hold the baby Jesus? Thank you. The baby Jesus goes into a manger. A manger is a place that has food for animals. But that is where the baby Jesus can lie down. Now, back to my angel. We have angels who come to sing glorious songs, just like we've been singing, to the shepherds and telling them about the miraculous birth of the new king, baby Jesus. They fall on their knees. They are so afraid. And the angels, do not be afraid. Be not afraid. For I'm here, and this is, you can see by the star where to go to the stable. So they hurry. The angels have sung, and the shepherds hurry over. And where they worship the baby Jesus, they are so glad to see Jesus. That's kind of dangerous for shepherds because they've left their sheep alone. Now, we have this wonderful star. And sometime later, because you can see the star from far, far away, we have the Magi, who are wise religious leaders like Reverend Brian. And they travel from far away, and they come to bring gifts to baby Jesus. They bring gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh, which are very valuable and super important because shortly after that, they receive a dream. And in the dream, an angel says, "Be not afraid, but please tell Mary and Joseph that they must flee the country. There is a wicked king who does not want another baby king born, and he may kill Jesus." So, of course, Mary and Joseph gather up their things and they quickly go away, and they are afraid until they get to Egypt. But they know that the angels are telling them what to do. And that is the story of our nativity, Unitarian style.
It's always interesting when we come to tell the stories from the Christian tradition, or these great religious stories, because, however much we think of them as metaphorical, we can often think into literal thinking. I always loved the words of the contemporary Christian Catholic religious thinker Dominic Crossan, who said that the problem with religious stories, that we think the ancient people were dumb enough to take them literally, and we take them metaphorically, when in reality they wrote and understood them metaphorically, and we are dumb enough to take them literally. And of course, the stories when you hear angels and stars, it's easy to kind of push those stories away. Like, what significance can those stories have for us today? And yet, if we really think about them metaphorically, and I'm going to try and do this in a reflection, just try and give a little insight into my understanding of the Christmas story. Because people think the Christmas story is really about the birth of Jesus, and of course, he's a significant character in it. But really, it's a story about human longing. And I want to explore what I mean by that. In that song that we just heard, "I See a Star," one of the verses, the second verse goes, "I wish I may, I wish I might, have this wish I wish tonight, that all the world which lies in sleep wakes to find the hope it needs, the peace it needs, and love, peace and love." That all the world which lies in sleep wakes to find the hope it needs, the peace it needs, and love, peace and love. And I think that goes to that human longing that we all have, that longing to find hope, to find meaning, to find peace, and to find love in this world. And I know the Christmas story is so familiar, some of those nuances can get lost in the story. And some of us have just stopped reflecting on the meaning of it and kind of given up. But there's been a long human tradition of wishing on a star. And it doesn't start with Pinocchio in the 1940 film. Though most of those wishes were shooting stars. And we know shooting stars are not stars, they're meteors coming into the Earth's atmosphere and burning up. But now's not the time for your pesky, annoying astronomy. This is a night of magic. It's time for magic. I expect you to think, what do you think the most important aspect of the nativity story that Jeanne told earlier? Jesus? Mary? Joseph? I actually think it's the angels and the star. Because really, they're the only ones that seem to know what's going on. Mary doesn't know how she's pregnant. Joseph's a little bit concerned that Mary's pregnant. The shepherds are kind of in the field, and all of a sudden angels appear and tell them that something's happening in Bethlehem, and they should go and see it. And the shepherds kind of go, "Okay," and run off. And the Magi, they follow a star. Perhaps it was a shooting star, I don't think so. But they followed a star which took them there. And of course you end up with the shepherds and the Magi and Joseph and Mary in there. But what we've got to remember is the rest of Bethlehem wasn't paying attention to this. They were probably at the church services, not singing Silent Night, but that came later. But they were just there going about their business. Most people were not aware of the birth, but a few people, and I love the fact, and of course it comes from two different Christian gospels, but the shepherds and these wise religious leaders who were probably somewhat wealthy, and the shepherds who were very poor, came together to worship Jesus. But when you look at it, it was really the star and the angels that had the agency. They knew what was going on. They guided the shepherds. They guided Mary and Joseph. They guided the Magi. So the idea of the incarnation, that's what Christmas is about. The idea of God becoming flesh, God becoming human form, the form of Jesus. That's the incarnation. But what does all the action of the divine in the story do with the star? You know, of course, one idea would be that it was the influence of God that guided the stars to guide the Magi to Jesus. Angels are messengers of God. They're messengers of the divine. And so they're bringing the message, and the idea was to bring all the humans together to this baby. That's what the divine action in this story is. So what does that mean? Angels are divine messengers. What message would you like to hear from angels tonight? What message would you like to hear? A divine message from the universe, from your subconscious, from the cosmic Gaia. What message would you like from the divine tonight? I invite you to reflect on that tonight and through the coming holidays. One of the most striking lines to me in the Christian Gospels around the whole nativity story is Mary's response to hearing. She hears from the shepherds that they were told that Jesus is this Prince of Peace who will bring goodwill and hope to all. That sounds pretty good. And everyone there was amazed, except for Mary. And this is a line, it says, all who heard was amazed, but Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. She heard all these words and pondered them in her heart. I love that phrase. Everyone else is amazed, but Mary's, she's happy, she's joyful, she's loving this new life and this hope there. And I think those are the things she's probably pondering as a new mother, but also with these revelations of these people she doesn't know coming to see her new baby just after going through labor. Most of us don't want that. The Unitarian Universalist minister David Bombao said, "We believe that the universe outside of us and the universe within us is one universe. In this interconnected existence, the well-being of one cannot be separated from the well-being of the whole. That ultimately we all spring from the same source and all journey to the same destiny." And in the Christmas story, the angels in the universe guide the shepherds, the Magi, to the baby Jesus. A brand new baby as the focus for divine intervention. So what does that say? If Jesus is this idea of hope, of this bringer of peace, that says we humans are responsible for doing that. We are God's hands, we are God's minds, we are God's heart in the world. We have to embody that. That's the message of the incarnation for me. Yes, the incarnation of Jesus, of the divine and human form, but that what he is used for is to bring humans together, the Magi and the shepherds who would never meet otherwise. And we are to embody God's actions. We are the ones that bring peace. We are the ones that bring love. We are the ones that bring compassion. We are the ones that bring justice into the world. I think that is the message of the incarnation. And of course, it's a Unitarian Universalist Christmas Eve service, so it's only appropriate that I'm going to offer a prayer by a rabbi. And these are from the Likrat Shabbat by Rabbi Jack Reimer. We cannot merely pray to you, God, to end war, for we know that you made the world in a way that each person must find their own path to peace, within themselves and within their neighbour. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end starvation, for you have already given us the resources with which to feed the entire world, if we would only use them wisely. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to root out prejudice, for you have already given us eyes with which to see the good in all people, if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end despair, for you have already given us the power to clear away the slums and to give hope, if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end disease, for you have already given us great minds with which to search out the cures and healing, if we would only use them constructively. Therefore, we pray to you instead, O God, for strength, determination, and willpower, to do instead of just to pray, to become instead of merely to wish. Now I think of that phrase about Mary pondering on her heart. I think, what are the meditations of my own heart at this time? I asked you earlier, what would you want to hear from an angel? I think, what are the meditation? And I think that what the choir just sang about, they are about justice, peace, compassion, hope, and joy. The Christmas story is on one hand very simple, the birth of a baby in humble circumstances with young parents far from home with no place to stay. A familiar story for many of us. We come across that in our daily life, especially in this Bay Area, where we know housing is a struggle. And I think Mary did ponder, she cradled the new child, the wonder and awe and joy of a new child. And the wonder and the awe of the stories is not from the people, it's the wonder and awe comes from the actions of the angels and the actions of the star. The divine action in the story is what brings the wonder and awe. And I look at what are the longings, the yearnings of my own heart. And if I wanted to hear from an angel, is that, does my deep and joyous love for this world, is that the appropriate sacred response to the gift of my life? Is that deep and joyous loving response, is it the sacred response to the life that we lead? And does that call me to action, to inspire me to once again get up in the morning and to embody love to all I come across? The Sikh activist Valerie Kaur says, joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. Joy is the gift of love. Grief is the price of love. Anger protects that which is loved. And when we think we have reached our limit, wonder is the act that returns us to love. And in the earlier reading I gave from Victoria Safford, she said, asks us to reflect on the moments of magic and the blessings we receive from it. The moment of magic right now is Christmas Eve. What blessing do you wish for? What blessing do we wish for? What blessing do we wish for, we'll work towards, and are open to receiving? For me, it's the reminder that wonder is the act that can renew our love for the world and life and help bring more joy and gratitude to the yearnings of my heart, enabling us all to be the incarnation of the sacred values, to heal our world and through being divine agents of justice, love, hope, and joy. Now we come to the point you've all been waiting for, as we're going to go into the candle lighting ceremony. And I just want to remind everyone that those who have got lit candles, keep them vertical, and those who have unlit candles, come in that way, because otherwise you'll be pouring wax in each other, and if you may be cold, there's other ways of heating yourself up than pouring wax on you. So remember that. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to say a meditation, and during the meditation, Larry will be dimming the lights, and so we will be with candlelight. And then Jeanne and I will come with our candles and pass lights down each aisle. We'll light the beginning, the first row, and then we'll light the last row. And I invite one of the ushers. Natalie, could you take a light up to the tech team for us, please? We want to make sure everyone's included. So that, and then what's going to happen is we'll be sitting in the darkness for a time, then I'm going to say a prayer, and then at the end of the prayer, we will be singing Silent Night. And we'll sing 3 verses seated, and then we will leave, coming out for the front rows first. We'll go out, we'll follow me out, and then we'll gather outside, we'll keep singing, and eventually Dawn will guide us, our music director will guide us when we can just let the music die out. I'll say a quick benediction, and then I think the choir has a surprise for us. Now you're all wondering. These words are adapted from Prayer Before a Birth by Louise MacNeice. I am not yet born, oh hear me. I am your tomorrows, but I am not yet born. I am not yet born, console me. Protect me from the doubts that strangle, the fears that stifle, the friends who drain and demean. I am not yet born. Give me dreams of what we may yet become, and nourish me so that I do not starve before I gain the strength to walk. Perhaps even to soar with the eagles. I am not born yet, oh hear me. Let not the woman who is the beast or the man who thinks he is God come near me, and those who can remain big only by keeping those around them small. Guard from me, for I am a fragile thing. I am not yet born, oh fill me with strength against those who would freeze my humanity, who would make me into a thing, a mere thing, who would dissuade and drain me until I lose my spirit, and then my soul, and then my hope, and your hope as well. For I am greater. I am the greater you who is not yet born, and together we must strive with the gods if necessary, for so much is at stake. There's so much to be gained. I am the you who is yet to become, and I am not yet born. Help me. Just go to the back and let them pass it. You can pass it forward. No, go to the back and let them pass it forward. John, can we dim the spotlights? Dim. Down. Way down. I'm a minister, but I don't like being in the spotlight. I invite you to take a breath, a deep breath. And as you breathe out, try not to blow out your candle. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. Let us be still in the darkness of our sacred space and listen to the quiet around us. For even in the quiet there is the gentle being with one another. Let us feel the warmth of this community, knowing that we are not alone. For in the quiet shadow is the glow of life within all. Let us know in the darkness the gift that each candle bears, a symbol of the divine light within each one of us. A small flame, perhaps, a diminutive light, yet the wondrous gift to kindle another's glow. Let us be in awe at this moment as we each embrace our flame and the light that provides envelops the room. As our hopes for peace and goodwill fill the night, may each be filled with light, love, and hope, and spread that love, justice, and joy to others. Let the sacred within us come forth. Let our God be with us here and now. Don't let the magic end. Don't let it end until it has blessed us, each of us, even here, even now. For every place is a holy place. Every spot is a manger. If we will be open to it. Quiet. Quiet. For it is a holy night. Something wants to be born. Something sacred that could save us. Maybe even save the world. Perhaps it is a child of God. Perhaps it is us trying to be reborn. Quiet. Quiet. The heavens may be opening. Even here, even now. Something sacred wants to be born. It needs our help. It could happen even tonight. Quiet.